Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, today's video, we're going to be making a rolling garment and shoe rack made out of kiln-dried 2x4s, 3/4 inch galvanized pipe, and fittings. Let's get started in today's video. Alright, so I got started with some kiln-dried 2x4s, and the reason why I'm using this is, they're already dried out. I've done a couple projects in the past with regular Doug fir 2x4s, and by the time you get the project built, everything is good, but 2 or 3 weeks later, they start to shrink up, and you got all kinds of gaps, but this is already treated and done, and you're not going to have any issues with that. And so I broke out my table saw table here and trimming up the 2x4s. I'm trimming out on both sides, on the inside ones, and the outside I'm leaving that edge, and I've got 2 of them just like this, about 12 inches wide, and I'm going to glue these things together, and you can see how nice tight fit that is. And so here it is, we're gluing these things together, and when I do this, I like to be sure I'm fully covered with the glue. There's no left open areas. You get good coverage. You get a lot of glue that leaks down the side, but hey, it's a better, you can sand that off, and that's okay rather than have some gaps. So this is one of 2, and I just cranking this thing together, and I've only got like 7 big clamps, and so I've got 3 on the bottom, and I put 4 on the top, and that's what I'm doing right here. Like I said, this is one of 2. I've listened to a couple of guys saying that you can clamp these things together, and after about an hour, it's good enough. You can unclamp them. Well, this here was about, I want to say 3 or 4 hours, and this is still the same evening, and I unclamped them, and then this is the second one of the planks that I'm gluing together, and then this one I let set overnight. I just wanted to be sure that it was getting pretty late right here, and I just wanted to be sure that I had both of them fully cured at that point. And then, like I said, the 3 clamps on the bottom, the 2 close to the very end, 1 in the middle, and then the other 4 up on the top. And that seemed to squeeze everything together nice and tight and nice and flat. And that worked out pretty good. And there it is. You can see it right there. You can see the glue squeezing out, and that's what you're looking for. You want to be sure you got full coverage, and that's what I have. And here it is the next day. So I'm unclamping everything. And then the next thing is to do is start to get all that glue off and getting everything flat. And, I've had this planer for about a year now, and I haven't used it too much. But it's going to work out perfect here for me on this. It's got a 13-inch blade on it, and like I said, this is just over 12 inches, so that worked out pretty good. Running it through the planer here, I made about 3 or 4 passes on each one of these shelves on both sides. And that got everything nice and flat and true. The one thing about that is it leaves kind of a rough finish. It gets it nice and flat. So I came back with a belt sander to start and got everything perfectly flat. Got any edges or rough pieces of wood off of there and got it smoothed out as smooth as I could with the belt sander. And then came back with a palm sander and finished it off with some finer grit. And that worked out really good. Now, the customer wanted a whitewash finish, and so that's what I stained it with. And when I got that done, this here is just some Minwax polyurethane, a matte finish, which is just kind of a flat finish. They didn't want any glossy look to it. So I got a couple coats of that on there, and that worked out really good. And now it's time for the assembly. And here I'm just using these screw flanges and pre-drilling and running these screws in and trying to get everything as even as I possibly can so nothing's going to be crooked. And once I got the bottom on, went ahead and put the legs on and screwed the flanges on the top. Put the shelf on the top and went ahead and repeated that process on the other side. And once I got everything all put together, it was time to get the casters on. Well, these are just regular casters I got at the big box store. Nothing special about them. Pretty inexpensive, but worked out perfectly for this. The same process, pre-drilling and then screwing them all in. And that worked out pretty good. Trying to leave as wide a footprint as I possibly can because it is a narrow shelf. But I flipped it over and got it on the ground, and everything was nice and flat and stable. There's not too much left just to put the rack itself on, and that is just a matter of screwing these fittings together. And that's what I'm doing right here. On one of my previous videos, I put this together and then tack welded them together at the joints, but I'm not going to do that here. Just grabbed a pipe wrench, tighten things up as tight as I could. This isn't going anywhere, and we're not going to have any issues with that. Put the screw flanges on the bottom, did the same thing with the pipe wrench, just cranked them into place, and once this thing is mounted, it's not going anywhere. And there it is. I just set it on the top, grabbed my tape measure, got everything centered where it needed to be, and once I did that, just again repeated the process, pre-drilling, and then screwing through, being careful I don't run the drill all the way through, and I didn't. There was a lot of screws, but everything turned out pretty good here. Well, there it is. It turned out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased the way this turned out. The customer is very happy. Pretty simple little project. Not for everybody, but for the customer, it's going to work out great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more video.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.